try choosing the architect profession. Okay, just see, because I'm not sure what the options are, but just check with the office. Try and choose architect, because this is what I did, and a lot of the other students also chose architect, and those questions were easier compared to the architect engineer questions. Okay, because the architect engineer questions are a bit more civil related. Okay, uh, so I will start my class now. Okay, I have a question. Has everybody received material? Have you all paid?
Yeah.
All of you. So have you all received the material?
I have received mine, but not this particular thing here.
Okay, please, on the group, after the session is over, just tell me what you have received, or send me a screenshot of the material that you have received, okay? And I will check um, whether you have the updated information. All of you, please, okay? And whatever is not there, I will request the office to send it to you before the next class. Um, okay, yeah, that's it. So basically, the syllabus during the exam will be theory and history of architecture. So just to give you a brief again, most of the questions for the architecture exam, okay, are very simple. Okay, they're not very difficult. Uh, and if you've spoken to any of your friends who've answered the exam, you will know that most of the questions are really simple and mostly logical. Okay, I urge you all to read a lot of the material that is given to you. Okay, most of the questions that is in the material that we give you are most of the questions that come for the exam. Sometimes you might have a random question that we would not have covered because there's no particular syllabus that is followed. We try to gather all the information that previous students have had questions on, and mostly those are questions that are repeated. Okay. Um, okay. And most of the questions really are, most of the syllabus is something that you have studied really during university. So for those of you who have graduated recently, it will be a bit more easier. For those who've graduated a long time ago, it will be a refresher course, basically, and some things that you'll use at work. Okay, informations that you'll use at work. Okay, so basically everything is things that y'all have heard about or y'all basically know but need a refresher course. Okay, so the syllabus is broken down into theory and history of architecture, which is everything ranging from um, Greek architecture, ancient architecture, to modern day architecture. Okay, so you need to know certain names of buildings, certain types of architecture, the features of certain eras of architecture, okay, certain timelines, okay. Then the second one is regional and local architecture. Okay, these are basically buildings around Doha. For example, do you know who is the architect of Museum of Islamic Arts? Does anybody know who's the architect for Museum of Islamic Arts? As an example. You'll have all been to the Museum of Islamic Arts, right? Someone.
Maybe Jean Nouveau.
Museum of Islamic Arts.
Jean Nouvel.
Do you know the building that is on Corniche? Anybody else who knows who's the architect of Museum of Islamic Arts? Who else is in this group?
IMP.
IMP. Okay. This is an example. For example, do you know what is the material used for, as an example, I'm just giving you, we'll go through all of this during our class, but as an example, what is the material that is used for, sorry, what is the height of the Aspire Tower? Do you know Aspire Tower?
300.
300 meters, yes.
Is it?
So you've gone through the material
100
though, right?
meters, 300.
300 meters, okay. Guys, I need you to be a little more interactive during the class. Okay, all of you. Okay, then you have interior design and material specifications. So interior design would be like, for example, what's an awning? Do you know what's an awning? What's an awning?
It's a shade over the window or any door opening.
Sorry?
It is a shade over the window or door opening from outside in the fabric.
Okay, what's an awning window?
Awning window.
Have you heard of an awning window? No? Okay. As an example, do you know what's a mix of concrete? As a material, do you know what's a mix of concrete?
It's
What is
aggregate and sand and concrete with water mix.
So you mix concrete with concrete to get concrete?
Aggregate, sand, water, and concrete.
Aggregate, sand, water, and concrete. You're missing the most important
It's the
material.
Cement.
Yes. You see, you understand. So these are the questions that come during the exam. Okay. Building utilities and professional practice. These are related to, as an example, what is, in professional practice, what is change order? Does anybody know what's a change order? Have you heard of a change order? Anybody?
After awarding the work, during the execution, if there is a changes happening.
There's an exhibition, did you say?
During the execution.
Execution, okay.
If there changes are happening, so client has to give the change order so that can execute, which is not part of original contract.
Okay, so basically it's after the contract has been signed, okay, and the client decides to make a change, okay, and the contractor has to incorporate this change. The term that is used is called a change order. What's a variation order? How is a change order different from a variation order? Anybody? Have you all heard the term variation order? No? Okay. We'll get through that during the class. Okay. So these are the things that you need to prepare for during the exam. But basically, this is how the syllabus is broken down. Okay. Tell me if y'all have received this file. Have you all received something like this?
Not yet.
I didn't receive it.
No. What about this?
Yeah, I received it.
You received this. And this?
Not yet.
No.
Not
I
yet.
didn't receive anything.
Okay. You didn't receive anything? At all? Did you pay? You haven't paid for the class?
Yes.
You have paid for the class. Okay, today or a few
No.
days ago?
About 5 days ago. 1 week.
Okay, please follow up with the office. Okay, they should. But if you don't, message somebody on the group or message generally in the group that you have not received the material, please. Okay, guys, everybody who has not received the material, please message on the group so that everybody is on track for the next class. Okay, you all would have read something before the next class. Okay, so let's start our session. Okay. So has do you know what are column orders? Has anybody heard? Okay, what is a column?
It's a vertical concrete member.
For what? What's the purpose of it?
Support slab.
Okay.
A
So,
column or support.
so it's basically a vertical member to support a floor or a slab, right? So that
Yes.
you can get support for the slab. So, if we are talking about historical columns, do any of you know any type of column orders? You know what's a column order? So in historical times, they used to have these decorative columns. You'll have seen that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically you have column orders. They look something like this. You'll have all
The
seen this,
Doric,
right?
the Ionic.
Yes. Okay. So you have these type of column orders. So what are the types of column orders that you know of?
Doric, Ionic, Corinthian, Tuscan, and
And what?
composite.
Composite, yes. So so you have two variations of column orders. So you have the Greek column orders, okay, and then you have the Roman column orders. Okay, so under the Greek column orders, you have Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. Okay, and under the Roman column orders, you have Tuscan and composite. So composite is a mix of Doric, sorry, it's a mix of Ionic and Corinthian. Okay, so you need to remember the types of column orders and the names. Okay, so in the exam, you don't get visual questions, like you won't have visual aids to help you for the exam. It will just be in text. So I'm putting these presentations so that you can remember what they look like. Okay. Another thing that you have to remember about the Doric order is the Doric column is that it is the simplest and shortest column It has no decorative flute. Okay. It has vertical fluting and a flared capital. Okay, these are the flutes. Okay, these lines are called the flutes. Okay. Now, another thing that you have to remember are the parts of the column and the entabulature. Okay, so the entabulature consists of the cornice, which is this. Okay, the frieze and the architrave. So that's how you have to remember the parts of the entabulature. So it consists of the cornice, frieze, and the architrave. Okay. The column consists of the capital, which is this. Okay, which is the order. Okay, and the shaft. Okay. The stylobate is like the plinth for the column, and the stereobate is like the foundation. Okay, so that's how you remember the parts of the column. Okay, so if I ask you, what are the parts of the entabulature? Can somebody tell me? Sorry?
Oh,
Can you guys hear me?
The cornice, frieze, architrave, and the capital.
No, it consists only of the cornice, frieze, and architrave. The
Architrave.
capital and the shaft are part of the column. Okay? Yes?
Okay.
Okay.
معلش عم بقلش.
So who knows these two buildings? Has anybody heard of these two buildings?
Yes.
Okay, what are these two
Pantheon.
buildings? Mm-hmm.
Parthenon.
What are these two buildings?
I think they are like templates.
Sorry?
Templates.
Both?
I think so. One of the Greek era, I think.
One is, sorry?
In the Greek era,
Which one?
the Pantheon,
Okay.
but the Parthenon, I don't remember actually. Is it the Roman or not?
Okay. Anything else do you know about the Parthenon and the Pantheon?
The difference in column,
Okay. What are the types of columns?
the Doric and Ionic. I'm not sure actually, but both of them have different shapes.
Okay. What else? What else? You're on the right track. That's why I'm asking you what else.
I think that's all. That's all I know.
That's all that you know? Okay. So both the Pantheon and the Parthenon were designed to be temples. Okay. So the Pantheon is in Rome, which is in Italy. Okay. It has a square plan, and it has one of the biggest brick domes in the world, and it has this feature on top. It's called, does anybody know what this feature on top is called? Have you heard of it? It's called an oculus. Okay, so it's open to the sky. Okay, and the materials used are marble, granite, and brick, although concrete was used later on during restoration. Okay, when this temple was changed into a church. Okay. Then you have the Parthenon, which is in Greece. Okay. This is on Mount Athena, which is in Athens, Greece. Okay. It's always been a temple. Now it's just a historical monument. Okay. The materials used for this building are marble, and the base is of limestone. So all around this area, you have limestone blocks. Okay. The columns for this building are of Doric order. Okay, that's what you need to remember. And the columns in the Pantheon are of Corinthian order. Okay.
Cannot same بالhistory of architecture بها.
Sorry.
هلا برجع راجعهم حلوين كتير. كان دكتور يعلم بس.
Sorry, I think your mic is on. Both temples were designed by Greek architects. Okay. And you need to remember the names of the architects. Okay. So the name of the architect for the Pantheon, his name is Apollodorus of Damascus. Okay. And the architect of the Parthenon is Ictinus of Callicratus. Okay. That's how you need to remember the names of the architects. So this is a comparison between the Pantheon and the Parthenon. So the Pantheon is located in Rome, the Parthenon in Greece. Both were designed, the original purpose was as a temple. Now it is used as a church and a museum. Okay. The common features and the similarity between the two is that it's designed as a temple, and both front facades have 8 columns. Okay, so in this slide, you need to remember it as the materials that are used for both temples, what the buildings are, the original purpose was, the names of the architects, and the types of columns. Okay. So before we go here, let's do a little bit of this.
I'm sorry, can I ask just one question?
Sure.
I wasn't at the beginning. At the exam, it's only like choosing, or is it writing?
No, you don't have to write anything. So basically your exam is like this. Okay, they'll ask you a question. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the question is asked like this, although I will show you a type of question that is asked for the exam. I'll give you a brief. So this is, for example, the question is asked like this in the exam. So you just have to pick one answer.
Okay, so it's no writing at all. It's only choosing.
No writing at all. You just have to choose one answer.
Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Does anybody know where is the Taj Mahal?
Agra, Delhi,
India.
India.
Was it really? It's in India. Okay. Does everybody know this?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know who is? So there was no named architect for the Taj Mahal, but it was funded by a king. Does anybody know who the name of the king?
Yes, maybe Shah Jahan. It's designed with 4 columns.
4 minarets. It's called a minaret. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So who knows the answer for this question?
B.
Shah Jahan. B.
B. Shah Jahan.
Okay, so our sessions, okay, will be basically questions like this, because we have to go through a lot of the material that is provided to us. So you need to be a little more interactive in the class to answer the questions, okay, please. The answer is B. Okay, what's the type of plan of Byzantine churches? Does anybody know what is difference between a Byzantine church and classical church, for example?
I think the decorative and the plan also, the shape of each plan, and maybe the number of the columns.
Sorry, I think it's a little bit loud on your side, so I can't really hear you properly.
I can write if it's better.
Okay. Can somebody else tell me anything about
Yes. The church is rectangular in shape, all the churches, but the Byzantine churches, they make very bulk and it's centered, like Hagia Sophia. It's a Byzantine church before, and they make a big dome, then small parts. It's centered with big element. Then there is a small parts beside.
what do you know the names of these parts? Although during the MMUP, there are not a lot of questions related to churches, but we'll just go through them quickly. Okay. Sorry, I don't see. Okay. So there are many features of churches. Okay. We will not get too much in depth with churches, mostly mosques. Okay. So does anybody know the answer for this question? What is the plan of a Byzantine church?
Maybe centralized. Centralized.
Circular?
Circular.
Circular?
I
Anybody
think
else?
centralized because they're centralized, I said.
Plan has to be a
Sorry,
shape. It has
what
to
was
have
your
a shape.
name?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Burgos, what is your name? Sorry, I forgot.
RJ.
RJ, okay, RJ. What did you say? Sorry.
I think I'm wrong. I said circular.
You said circular. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I said circular.
Okay, circular. So the answer is circular. Okay. Centralized is not a type of plan. Okay. Centralized
Okay.
is a form that is used for master planning.
Okay.
Okay. What could be the answer for this? Do you know what's a minaret?
Minaret are the columns on the mosque.
Okay. And do you know what's an Ottoman minaret?
Ottoman is a base.
Ottoman is mostly related to Turkish places because they had this group of people called the Ottomans. Have you heard of them?
So it's a tower.
So it's a minaret for an Ottoman mosque, for instance. Okay. These are mostly in Turkey or Eastern Europe side. Okay.
Yes.
So the minaret is the tall,
It's 40 meters.
structure of the mosque where the muezzin, I think that's what he's called, calls to prayer.
It looks
Okay.
like pencil.
Yes. So the height of an Ottoman minaret is
40 meters.
70 meters, more than 70
Oh,
meters.
7.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So to know all these things, okay, because guys, you need to understand that what I'm explaining to y'all during these classes are just information that we can get through the whole session, because we have more than 800 questions to get through. Okay. Uh, if you all have other questions related to the subject, we can discuss after the class. Okay, because obviously we can discuss during the class also, but if you all need any extra information, you guys really need to read. Okay, so y'all can take this question, for example, as a sculptor of the Parthenon. Okay, but if you ask me to explain it to you, it will be a very long lecture, and all of us have been through 5 years of architecture school. So it'll be a little bit difficult to get back to that. So I really urge you all to read. Okay, please. Okay.
Hmm.
If you'll have any question during the class, we can solve it. Okay, but history lessons, guys, you'll have to read, please. Okay.
Okay.
So who is the master sculptor of the Parthenon?
C.
Anybody else?
C. Calimus.
No, it is A. Phidias. Okay.
Hmm.
The Pantheon. Do you know which is the Pantheon?
Rome architecture.
Okay.
Hmm.
So the Pantheon Temple comes from which architecture?
Roman.
You all know I told you all something before the class, before when I was teaching you all about the Pantheon and the Parthenon.
Designed by Greek architecture. Greek architecture.
RJ?
I think it's Greek because the columns are Corinthian.
Uh-huh. So
But it was just built in Rome, but I think it's Greek then.
a lot of people make a mistake on this and they choose Roman, but the answer is Greek. Okay. Okay. In this question, I told you who is the architect of the Pantheon, right? Do you remember?
Apollodorus of Damascus.
Okay. So the thing over here is, if you read more about the architect of the Pantheon, the original architect of the Pantheon is Apollodorus. But the emperor, they didn't have kings, the emperor who paid to build this building actually gets the credit for this building. Okay. So if you see in my presentation before, It mentions Hadrian over here. So actually, the credit was not given to the architect, but to the emperor of that time. Okay. So in this case, the answer is Apollodorus, but for this particular question, the answer is Hadrian. Okay.
Okay.
What are the columns that were used in the facade of the Parthenon?
Doric.
Anybody else?
Sorry.
Doric. Okay. Okay.
Sinan is a famous architect from
which era?
I think none.
B. Ottomans.
You think none?
He built a lot of things.
So he was one of
after.
he was one of the master architects in the Ottoman Empire. His name is Mimar Sinan, Mimar. Show you. His name is Mimar Sinan. Okay, so you can read more about him later. Okay, so he is a very famous architect from the Ottoman Empire. Okay. Before we go to the next slide, does anybody know what is a ziggurat? Have you heard the term ziggurat?
Yes,
Yes, ziggurat. It's an architecture.
Ziggurat is an architecture.
That's built at Iraq.
Egyptian.
Built at Iraq.
Sorry? Anybody knows what's a ziggurat and a pyramid?
Ziggurat is a step pyramid, which is based on the one philosophy, like way to heaven.
Okay.
And pyramid is a state which is like ends with the point at top.
Okay.
That
What
much I can,
else?
simple word.
Okay. Anybody else? Have you heard anybody, RJ, sorry, what is this guy's name? Andre? Mariam, have you all heard of what is a ziggurat? What is a pyramid?
Yes, yes.
No, I just heard about the pyramid, that it was just like the plan is square and it's used to bury coffins and stuff like that. But I don't know the ziggurat.
You don't know of a ziggurat. Okay.
A ziggurat.
Go ahead.
A tower, like Tower of Babel. It's found at Iraq. The pyramids found at Egypt.
Okay, Tower of Babel is a little bit different. It's not the same. Okay, so y'all all know the pyramids of Giza, right? The pyramids that are in Egypt. Okay, so a pyramid is basically a square base. Okay, and all the sides point up to one apex. Okay, so a pyramid, basically the difference between a pyramid and ziggurat in shape is that a pyramid has a square base. Okay, please write this down. A pyramid has a square base and a ziggurat has a rectangular or circular base. Okay, so a pyramid is made, is constructed, the materials used to construct a pyramid are, any guesses, anybody? The most common material that was available in in Egypt was limestone.
Which stone? Sandstone.
Limestone.
Limestone.
Yes. Okay. And ziggurats are made of sun-baked dried bricks.
Again, please.
They're made of sun-baked dried bricks. One minute, I have it here. Hold on. Yeah. So basically, this is what a ziggurat looks like. Can you all see my screen? Okay. So the pyramid is a square shape structure. Okay. And it comes up to apex. Okay. The material used was limestone. Okay. And pyramid was a structure used as a tomb. So to bury people, to bury kings. Okay. It was a tomb. Okay. This is a ziggurat. Okay. So ziggurat is a square shape or a rectangular shape or circular shape. Okay. It is used as a temple. So the main difference between the two are, sorry, I think Mariam, you need to mute yourself maybe.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Again, the pyramid is a square base. A ziggurat is rectangular shape or circular shape. The pyramid is, the material used for the pyramid is limestone. For the ziggurat, it is called sun-baked mud bricks. Okay, sun-baked mud bricks. The ziggurat is used as a temple, whereas the pyramid is used as a tomb. Okay. So these are the three major differences between these two buildings. Okay.
Okay.
So that's
Can
what
I
you
know
need.
where are the cigarette located at?
So ziggurats are no longer. There is one ziggurat. It's called Ziggurat of Ur, which is in Iraq, but it is like a heritage site. You don't see it in its normal shape, like how the pyramids are preserved, because these were built way back before the pyramids. Okay, these were temples that were built way before the pyramids. Okay, so it was built in the 21st century BC, so long time ago. So they're not in its normal building state. So if you see on this map, it's somewhere around Syria and Iraq. Okay. So guys, you need to remember these three things about the pyramids and the ziggurats, okay? We'll come to these. Okay. Okay. This one. What is the shortest column in Greek architecture?
The Doric?
It's the Doric.
Doric.
Okay. What did I
Doric.
say was the parts of an entabulature?
Flute.
What are the parts of an entabulature?
The cornice, the frieze, and the architrave.
Good. How would you describe the stylobate?
Hmm.
What is a stylobate?
You said earlier it's like the plinth.
It's like the plinth, yes. And how would you describe the stereobate? It's like the foundation. Okay. What is the answer of this question? What could be the answer of this question?
We can actually the answer at the bottom.
Oh, you can see the answer.
Yes, it's letter D.
What's the answer now? What is the
Colosseum.
answer now? Do you know what's the Colosseum? Does anybody know what's the Colosseum? Well, I've all seen that movie with this guy, right? I don't know. 300? 300, right? No? Okay. So Colosseum is the one where they have, they used to have these with gladiators. You've seen the movie Gladiator, right?
Yeah.
Everyone? Yeah. So the gladiator was pictured around the concept of the amphitheater, which is the Colosseum, which is in Rome. Okay. Okay. Just this question, I just want to ask, does anybody know what's a pagoda? Have you ever heard of the term pagoda? No? Okay. Anyway, we're going to get to that. Let's get back to
I think
this.
it's like a temple also.
It's not a temple, really, but it is derived, the concept of a pagoda is derived from
Chinese?
From Indian architecture, basically. Okay, so you used to have temples for, there's this religion called Buddhism. Maybe you'll have heard of it. So in these kind of temples, they had these buildings which were called pagodas. Okay, so the Chinese developed, so this is something that you have to remember during exam. The Chinese developed the design of Chinese pagodas from the Indian pagodas. Okay, they have a different name. Yeah. So this is the sequence of events. So there was the Buddhist temples, then the Chinese were inspired by the pagodas from Indian architecture. And then the Japanese developed their own kind of pagodas. We'll get to that later. That were influenced from Chinese pagodas. Okay, so that's how it went. First Indian, Chinese, and then Japanese. Okay. Let's go to this. There's names of architectural times. Guys, can you all see me? Because my internet is not really good.
We can see the screen, yeah.
You can see, okay, yeah. Any architectural timelines that y'all have heard of? Anything? There's so many timelines. Anything that you'll have heard of.
Modernism.
Okay. What else? Before modernism, let's say we discussed a few.
Classical, Roman, Greek,
Okay.
Renaissance,
Greek, Roman, Renaissance. Okay. What else?
Neoclassical, Art Nouveau,
Okay. Bravo. What else? Gothic. Have you heard Gothic?
Is the Gothic architecture.
Romanesque,
Byzantine
Huh?
architecture.
Romanesque. Bravo.
Byzantine.
Exactly. Okay. So we will go through these eras, not in detail. Okay. We will just do like an overview of all these eras. The main ones, I will describe the features to you. Okay, some architectural features. But if you want to know more about that specific timeline, you'll have to read through it. Okay, so I'm just focused on the main ones. So where could it possibly start from? Any ideas?
Islamic architecture.
No, before.
Islamic?
No,
Islamic.
Before we have Greek
From the
architecture.
beginning of times.
We have
Before Greek.
Egyptian,
Before Greek and Roman. So there was, do you all know the
Egyptian.
Stone Age,
this building, the Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, yeah.
Neolithic period.
So it's called prehistoric period. Okay. Prehistoric was before, it was related to the Stonehenge, the Mayan temples, the ones in South America, the one that we just discussed about, the ziggurats. Okay. These are all prehistoric because these were all built in BC time. Okay. Okay, yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Noted.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Then you have ancient. Under ancient, you have buildings like the pyramids and the Parthenon. So we studied about the pyramids and the Parthenon. We will not get too much into detail with prehistoric, except what you studied about the ziggurats. Okay, please, guys, you have to remember these three things between the main difference between the pyramids and the ziggurats. Okay. Then you have classical, which we studied about the Pantheon, right? So who is the architect of the Pantheon?
Adrian,
He was the emperor, but who is the actual architect?
Apollodorus,
Okay.
Apollodorus of Damascus.
Okay. Then we have the Byzantine era. Okay. The very famous structures during this time are called the Topkapi Palace
And the Hagia Sophia.
and the Hagia Sophia. Okay. The features of this building was that it had, the material used was stone, which was readily available in this area. So they used stone. Another major feature of this type of buildings were that it had domed roofs. The interiors of the building had mosaics. Okay. And it had very ornate interiors. So if you see the building from inside, if anyone has been to Hagia Sophia, you would see that they have done wall paintings. Okay, this was before it was a church, and then they converted it into a mosque. Then it was a museum, and very recently they converted it back to a mosque. Okay, so before, if anybody has visited it, you can see wall paintings inside the Hagia Sophia. Okay, so it has very plain exterior but very ornate interiors. Okay, then you have the
Okay.
Romanesque, okay, era. The most famous building in this time is this building that I put here. It's called the Basilica Saint Sonin. Okay. The features of this building is that it has semicircular arches. The material used was stone, and they had these large spires. Okay, these spires. Okay, the term is called spire. Okay, spire. Where is it? It's called spire. Okay. Spires. Okay.